Okay, everything appears to be in order, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer than I need to. We're just going to talk about the 3 chapters that were released today, and then you guys can just go about your day. But first and foremost, yo peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another, to my first One Piece reflections in the year 2022. We got 3 chapters of One Piece this month, and they're all fairly good. They were all fairly good. I didn't really have any major complaints about it. Like, I did have expectations of what I wanted to see, happen in certain chapters, but some things didn't happen, and it wasn't like it was a big deal for me, so I wasn't really bothered by certain things I was hoping to see in one chapter, but it didn't happen. But it's fine. It's fine. It This was a pretty good month for One Piece, and I'm glad we got the chapters that we got. So we got chapters 1036, 1037, and 1038. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one, called Bushido is the Way of Death. And in this chapter, this pretty much concluded officially and announced the end of the fight between Zoro and King. And as that's going on, actually, let me do this real quick. Pop out chat in order for me to look at these chapters and respond to chat as well. Let me do that. And we're good. Alright, so in this chapter, after Zoro uses Dragon Damnation on King, he takes him down, and then King is there, slowly uttering the words of the name of Kaido, as he thinks back to when Kaido was speaking to him. Because apparently, King was under the belief that Kaido was the so-called fabled Joy Boy that would be returning back to the world. Because Kaido says, "Are you still under that belief, King? You think I'm Joy Boy? Is the world I'm creating really the one you wish for?" And King says, "Legends are legends, that is all. No, I seek nothing from you anymore. My life belongs to you. Just continue to be the strongest there is. And I won't lose any fight either. I'll make you the king of the pirates." And as King is saying this to Kaido back when they were starting the Beast Pirates, this echoes back when Zoro, after losing his fight with Mihawk, proclaimed that he is not going to lose another fight again to Luffy, who he calls King of the Pirates. So both of these right-hand men of these big-time pirates, like when they were starting out, they both made the same proclamation. "I won't lose any fight either. Y'all make you king of the pirates." And Zoro says, "I'll never lose again." Got a problem with that, king of the pirates. So there's an echo between both King and Zoro on how they treated their captains when they were with each other. So going forward through that, Zoro says, "Guess I might as well become the king of hell." And as that happens, he's still soaring through the air. "Hello, Zion," or should I say Monique, good to see you. As Zoro is thinking of these thoughts, he uses his sword to, slash in the air and repel himself back to Onigashima as King starts plummeting down below. And this is in the panel where where we're given the narration, "Battle outside the dome, right brain tower, winner Zoro." And as this is going on, one of the people that are under the employ of Bao Huang, one of the Marys, is there, and she sees Zoro propel himself back onto Onigashima again. And as this is going, Bao Huang says King has just been defeated. And one of the CP0 members there is, "Hey Kohagen, what's going on?" One of the CP0 members who was there is like, "What? Really? So the lead performers and Tobiropo are all down. This is a grave state of affairs. But of course there are still 2 monsters in this battle who can render all of this valiant effort futile." And of course this member of CP0 is referring to both Kaido and Big Mom. And as he's saying this, it shows Big Mom as she's fighting both Kid and Law in her souped up, powered up form, which we didn't get a name of or a description of. Well, we got a description of what it is, but we didn't get an official name of this ability. But she's using her souped up soul form, I guess, and she's still fighting Kid in Law. And then it has more narration saying, there is another battle being waged here, however. If Luffy defeats Kaido, his flame clouds will disappear, causing Onigashima to fall upon the capital and explode from its store of gunpowder. It would mean the deaths of tens of thousands of innocent people as they enjoy the fire festival unaware of the danger nearby. And it shows Momonosuke trying his best to hold on to Kaido's flame clouds as he tries to pull Onigashima away from the flower capital as the whole festival's going on. Also, a second menace, the burning spirit of Kanjiro's hatred, his Kanzenbo drawing, on Orochi's orders, seeks to explode Onigashima in midair and heads downward, with Yamato in pursuit. And then it shows Yamato running up to the door to the basement armory with a new member of the numbers to be introduced called Roki. And apparently Roki is the one keeping guard over the armory to ensure that no one gets in there. And mind you, Fuga is still traveling with Yamato, and she says, we don't have time to beat him. Take the key and operate the lever that opens and closes the door. Do it the quick way, Fuga. We don't have time to beat him. Take the key and operate the lever that opens and closes the door. Do it the quick way, Fuga. And the quick way that Fuga does this is he basically just rams directly into Roki. Now, mind you, Roki is fast asleep. So imagine being woken up by a ginormous humanoid ramming directly into you and also bursting open the doors, the steel doors that you're guarding over. So the quick way was just, barreling through Roki and then busting open the doors to the armory. And Yamato thanks Fuga and says, keep Roki down for me. And Fuga stays behind as Yamato continues down into the armory. Then we are inside the castle on the second floor and first floor crawl space, which is where Kiku and Kinemon are. And we see Skull Blastgrass. And it turns out that Usopp has been down there in the crawl space with Kiku and Kinemon, staving off the waves of beast pirates that have been coming to try and kill both Kiku and Kinemon, but also, more than likely, Usopp as well, since, he's part of the rebellion with the samurai. And I kind of like this moment in this chapter because it pretty much showed that Usopp is not a complete coward. Despite his, actual cowardice, he went down there to Kiku and Kinemon, despite knowing that he could run into trouble, and he's standing here face to face with tons of beast pirates, that includes many gifters, and he's still standing there trying to defend them. And he says, I can't do this anymore, I'm gonna die, it's nothing but flames and foes in every direction. And both Kiku and Kinemon are trying to tell Usopp who to take and who to save. Like Kiku saying, no, take Kinemon, and Kinemon saying, no, take Kiku. And he's going on, cool, I'll leave you both and save my own skin. And Usopp says, wait, then why did I even show up? What is it with you samurai and your death wishes? What use is your pride taking responsibility through harakiri? I'm not a fan of this culture of yours. I cling to life with snot running from my nose if I have to. Yo, D-Train, what's going on? We're in the middle of chapter 1036. Reviewing it. I don't care if it looks pathetic, I survive. It's what I do, and it's the entire reason I'm standing here alive today. Why are you idiots so satisfied with just pulling off your raid? And as he's doing this, he's still defending both Kinemon and Kiku from the beast pirates that keep trying to close in on him. And he's screaming, and he's crying, and he's like, I can't do this. And then someone jumps behind him saying, he's right, of course, get down. And who is it that saves Usopp in this instance but Izo? And Izo drops in and he just lays down a fan of gunfire around Usopp, taking out the beast pirates that were really right on him. As a beast pirate was just directly in front of him with his sword, Izo takes them all out that's all around him. And then the beast pirates are all like, hey, what's he doing here? The former Whitebeard Pirates division leader? It's Izo! I saw Marco on the performance floor too. What's going on? And Usopp has no idea who Izo is. He doesn't know he's part of the Whitebeard Pirates. He has no idea who Izo is. He has no idea about his relationship to Odin or Whitebeard or any of the samurai who are currently there on Onigashima. Like mainly the Akazaya 9. He doesn't know Izo at all. And Kinemon can only slightly mutter out Izo. And then Izo says, "Brother, I fear." And then, no, Kiku says, "Brother, I fear." And then Izo says, "Don't speak. It will only hurt you. We have plenty of time for later." And then he takes off the upper half of his robe, and you see the Kozuki family crest on his back saying, "Focus on your survival. If you truly believe in Straw Hat Luffy, that is. Take them to safety, God Usopp." And of course, everyone knows who Usopp's name is because of the events that happen with Dressrosa, where he first got the name God Usopp because of Doflamingo, and Doflamingo giving Usopp the highest bounty for during his deadly birdcage game. And now everyone knows him as God Usopp. Even the world government, after the events of Dressrosa, when they gave the Straw Hats an improved bounty, Usopp's name went from being like Sniper King to being God Usopp. So that's a bit of a glow up when it comes to his wanted poster. Then we cut to the third floor, where it shows Fukuro Kuju and Raizo holding on to each other with their own paralysis jutsus. Now, mind you, neither one of them can move because neither one of them are relenting on releasing the paralysis jutsu. But Fukuro Kuju wants Raizo to let go of the paralysis jutsu because the whole area that they're in is engulfed in flames. But Raizo, knowing his stance as a vassal of Kozuki Odin, and the fact that, if he lets Fukuro Kuju go, he's going to cause more trouble for everyone else, he doesn't let go. And neither does Fukuro Kuju. But since they're in an engulfed fire area, Raizo is actually getting set on fire due to the surrounding area. Now, mind you, Fukuro Kuju is not on fire yet, but Raizo is already starting to get lit on fire. And Fukuro Kuju says, "Fine, do as you wish, but unfortunately for you, the flames have reached you first. My paralysis will fade as soon as you are dead." And Raizo says, "I am a vassal of Lord Odin. You call this heat, I don't even feel it." And this kind of calls back to when he and the rest of the vassals of Odin were there at the Hour of Legends during Odin's execution, where when they were in the vicinity of Odin being in a boiling pot of oil, which is the execution method, for those who don't know, was the execution method of Kozuki Odin when he and his vassals failed to beat Kaido and his Beast Pirates 20 years prior. So, to Raizo, the flames of this inferno that's starting to slowly engulf Onigashima right now is nothing compared to the heat that he had to endure just being near Odin, as Odin had to endure the boiling pot of oil during his execution. So this heat to him is nothing. That's the reason why, even despite him getting lit on fire right now, he's not bothered by it. And going to the treasure repository on the second floor, it shows Orochi with Hiyori. I'm still suspect over whether that is truly Hiyori or not. If it is, how did she get to Onigashima? And if it isn't, who is that? And as this is going on, we see Apu running away with Inbi, as we move to the second basement floor. And Apu is saying, "Those guys are bad news. Sorry, Zanki, so long, Drake." As it turns out that the two CP0 members that were intercepted by Apu and Drake when they were chasing Robin and Brook, they both defeated Zanki, which is one of the numbers, and they both defeated Drake, and they defeated Drake as well. So Apu, seeing the opportunity to, save his own skin, just left Drake high and dry and just ran off. And it shows a massively beaten and bloodied Drake laying there, as one of the CP0 members says, "That took longer than I expected. He was tough." And then the other one says, "Apu got away." And then Denden Mushi comes in saying, "Have you caught Nico Robin?" Sorry, just making sure that everything looks good for you guys. Someone's calling in on a Denden Mushi saying, "Have you caught Nico Robin?" And then the bowler hat CP0 member says, no, not yet, we were interrupted. Then the voice says, well, hurry, we should leave this castle. You mean the lead performers are down. If the new generation should actually win this battle, it would be massive news. The impact will fan the flames of the incidents occurring all over the world as we speak. And the events that are occurring all over the world is really in reference to the big massive attack during the reverie of the Revolutionary Army proclaiming war against the world government and the Celestial Dragons. So those events are already permeating throughout the world. We just don't see too much of that information happening right now since we're focusing on Wano. But mix those events of the Reverie and the Revolutionary Armies and mix that with this massive war that's going on in Wano right now between Kaido and Big Mom and the Worst Generation and the Samurai versus the Beast Pirates. Should Luffy and his friends and everyone he's allied with right now beat both Kaido and Big Mom, it would literally shake up the balance of power throughout the world. Because the three great powers in the world are the Yonko. It was originally the seven warlords that were mixed in there, and then the world government and their marines. Since the seven warlords has been abolished, all that's left is just the world government and whatever their SSG is, and the Yonkos themselves. So the balance of power has kind of shifted because they just lost one major perk in the world. But if this new generation defeats both Kaido and Big Mom, then the state of power will shift because Big Mom and Kaido are pretty much some of the most powerful pirates in the entire series. With the mere thought of trying to attack them and win being thought of as impossible. Big Mom already is a formidably, incredibly, massively powerful pirate, with her durability being almost on par with Kaido's. Until this arc. With her strength being gargantuan, with no one being able to compare her strength with anyone else's. She's like a league all of her own. She's not even an actual giant, but she has the strength of, and even has strength that surpasses that of a giant. So much that when she was found by Mother Caramel back in the past, the world government was wondering, hey, you think maybe you could send that child to us? I feel like she would make a great addition to our giant squad that we're making, even though she's not a giant at all. Because even as a child, when she was 3 years old, she was massively powerful. Being able to kill one of the giant leaders, Yorl or Jarl, I forget which one it was, and killing numerous giant animals just with her bare fist when she was only 3 years old. Now, granted, she's up in her 50s and 60s right now, and she's way more powerful because back then when she was only 3 years old, she didn't have the Soul Fruit. But it wasn't until she ate Mother Caramel and the other children during her birthday, and I'm saying that in parentheses because it is heavily alluded to, she gained the power of the Soul Fruit, and from there she built up her whole pirate crew family, mainly made up of the majority of her children, and she's grew more powerful ever since with the Soul ability, with the Soul Fruit. She's incredibly powerful. Then you have Kaido, called the strongest creature in the world, where people says like no matter what, whether it's land, air, or sea, always bet on Kaido. Prided and feared, and even praised for his massive amounts of strength and durability, where he, up until we learn where he got his scar from, and up until the rooftop battle of this arc, no one even thought that harming Kaido was a possibility. Even Big Mom looking at Luffy was like, okay, you come to take on me, but but the thought of you taking on Kaido, you're never gonna beat that thing. It was so incredibly astronomically impossible to think that Kaido could ever be taken on and fought on a level playing field. Now, granted, recent chapters have shown that it is entirely possible to fight him on that same playing field. But these two pirates, both Big Mom and Kaido, have been lauded as these incredibly powerful pirates. So when these CP0 guys say that the balance of power is going to shift, it will be massive news, the impact will fan the flames of the incidents occurring all over the world, it's a big deal because of all the feats that these two pirates have accomplished. What happens over the next several minutes will set the course for the times to come. And then one of the members says, that's true, but don't you think they've already hit the limit of what human beings can achieve? And as it shows this, it shows Luffy going up against Kaido repeatedly. And now, mind you, during this whole fight, they are constantly using Conqueror's Haki imbued attacks in order to harm one another. Do you think Luffy could still beat Kaido if he wasn't carrying a whole island? See, my thing about that, Karma, is I honestly believe that Kaido using his flame clouds to bring up Onigashima is not exactly a taxing thing for him. I honestly believe that this is just something nonchalant that he just does. I mean, he literally lifts Onigashima off the ground, just casually sitting up on the rooftop before the major fight started. So I honestly feel like Kaido, if he wasn't carrying a whole island, it really wouldn't matter. Because him lifting an island doesn't seem like a taxing thing for him, because his strength has not shown to be weaker just because he's lifting a whole island. It's not something that he has to actually concentrate on. Because there has been numerous times when Kaido's been hit repeatedly and knocked around, like his brain could have been jumbling around in there and break his concentration. Multiple moments where he's been hit where it should have broken his concentration, but it hasn't. So I honestly feel they did say he gets weaker by the minute. True, he's getting weaker by the minute, but it's not because he's fighting and using his flame clouds. I honestly believe that he's only getting weaker by the minute because this is the first time in a very long time that he has an opponent that is able to keep up with him. I don't think it's because he's using the flame clouds. These bots really want to come in here right now. Are you sure? Are you sure? If they're not showing up during my Assassin's Creed streams, they're showing up now. But I honestly believe that it wouldn't matter if Kaido was causing the island of Onigashima to float or not. He's only getting weaker now because this is the first time he's actually had to resort to using his uppermost amount of his power. Otherwise, he would have just stuck with either his dragon form or just stuck with his human form. This is the most he's ever had to actually put some actual effort into fighting, that he has resorted to his hybrid form, because he's going up against another person who he says there's not many other people who can go up against me, such as Rocks, Whitebeard, Shanks, who was the other one? Rocks, Whitebeard, Shanks, and Roger, and Odin. Those people. Rocks, Whitebeard, Shanks, Roger, Odin. Yeah, the 5 people he knows that can fight on par with him, he sees that in Luffy. Now, mind you, we don't know all the history of what his fights were like with Shanks and Whitebeard and Rocks, or Roger for that matter, but we do know what his fights were like with Odin. And the fact that Odin, who he ranks among the top people who can keep up with him, was a person who gave him his one and only scar right now, aside from the one that Zoro gave him across the chest, it stands to reason that this is the first time he's ever actually had to push his body to a point to actually keep up with Luffy. Well, I wouldn't say keep up with Luffy, but, be able to combat Luffy on an even playing field. But I still feel like it's him holding up a whole island is not what's causing him to be weaker. It's fighting another opponent that can keep up with him that's causing him to be weaker. Because I brought this up before in one of my previous reflections, is that due to the amount of time and due to how little Kaido has actually had to fight an opponent that could really do a lot of damage to him and keep up with him, I feel like he never really resorted to trying to improve his fighting capabilities because his natural strength was pretty much all it took. So when he's fighting Luffy, who, like Goku, gets stronger during a fight, he now has to try and adapt to it, but I feel he's not doing it quick enough because he hasn't been pushed this far in so long. So I feel it's not a matter of him getting weaker, but Luffy starting to get to his level and Kaido not being able to get stronger than that. That's how I feel about it. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but Kaido is still strong, but Luffy is slowly getting to a degree where he is able to keep up with Kaido, and Kaido can't just resort to the same old tricks that he used to use. He can't just resort to, just natural strength alone. Now he has to resort to using Conqueror's Haki imbued attacks in combination with using his souped up hybrid form in order to combat Luffy and actually bring him down. That's how far Luffy has pushed him. Because if Luffy wasn't actually making Kaido work for it, he wouldn't have had to resort to going to his hybrid form. He would have just stayed human, or just stayed in his dragon form if that was enough. But Luffy is showing to be a far more capable opponent than he originally anticipated, and now he has to resort to actually using something that he never had to use in years. Who knows, he may have used this hybrid form going up against Shanks, but if he hasn't, then it's been roughly like who knows how many decades since he's gone this hybrid form before. That's just my opinion on it. But as this is going on, Luffy is still trying to hit Kaido, and Kaido's trying to hit him, but then Luffy uses Gum Gum Rock Gun and nails Kaido directly in the face and knocks him back. And as they both get knocked to the ground, they both get up and they both just start laughing, saying how much fun they're having. Like, Luffy says, I'm having fun now, and Kaido says, so am I. And that's the end of chapter 1036. Let's move on to 1037. Drunken Dragon Bagua. So as this fight is going on, there's still people partying at the fire festival, and then they have the sky boats with people saying, I want to see mama, I hope I can feed my children, I want lots of water. A lot of these things you would see from people from, Ebisu Town and, Leftover Town, and these look like things that, since the fire festival is a time, many of you know, but to those who don't know, the Fire Festival is a time when all walks of life across Wano can enjoy themselves for one night. Both the poor and the people who aren't poor, the people who live in the Flower Capital and the people who live outside of the Flower Capital can come together and enjoy themselves. They can drink, be merry, many things that Orochi pretty much banned every year, except for this one time of year. So a lot of these people saying that I want to see this, I hope I can feed my children. These are all pretty much people who don't live inside the Flower Capital, because the people who live in the Flower Capital are taken care of. They got plenty of food, plenty of water. Everyone else on the outside barely survive. Many people die on a regular basis. So this is the one time when they all get to just join together and enjoy themselves, when normally they wouldn't have access to all these festivities. They'd just be on the outside looking in, pretty much. As this is going on, it shows that the fighting is still going on top of Onigashima, and it says Onigashima near the capital. Now, mind you, it's only minutes away. There's minutes happening in between Onigashima in terms of distance between Onigashima and the Flower Capital. And Onigashima is a whole island. So even though in these panels it looks like it's kind of small in comparison, it's actually quite large. And as this is going on, Kaido and Luffy are still on the roof, and Kaido's just casually drinking. Just drinking in the middle of the fight. And Luffy's like, why are you drinking right now? And Kaido says, because I'm having fun. You want one too? Down below, they're having the fire festival in the city. It's the same day we have our big feast on Onigashima. The feast you and your friend so unceremoniously ruined. And he's laughing, and then he's just laughing like crazy because he's going through these different states of drunkenness. And Luffy says, you're totally drunk. Just don't use that as an excuse for why I beat you, got it? And Kaido is massively drunk, so drunk that his speech is, impeded. And he says, don't be stupid. I wouldn't make myself weaker. It's a sign that I've accepted you. And as he's laughing, Luffy tries to hit him, but Kaido dodges it. And he says, I wonder how long it's been since I fought someone who could truly go toe-to-toe with me. Just like I said, Kaido sees Luffy as someone worthy to use his full strength on. So even him drinking doesn't inhibit him at all. He's like, don't be stupid. I wouldn't make myself weaker. It's a sign that I've accepted you. Kaido has accepted Luffy as a worthy opponent to fight. And as this is going on, Luffy tries to hit Kaido, but Kaido dodges it with Drunken Dragon Bagua. Now, let me go ahead and pull this up, because I like to go over the special abilities that everyone can do, and the special traits and capabilities that they're able to do. And I want to go over what he calls Drunken Dragon Bagua real quick. Yes, it's called Shuron Hake. By consuming alcohol, Kaido is able to enter a state called Shuron Hake, literally meaning sake dragon 8 trigrams. Viz calls it the Drunken Dragon Bagua. In this state, his movements become more unpredictable. He switches rapidly between his Zoan forms, and his haki becomes stronger. The Shuron Hake state has various modes based on his drunken mood swings. So you know how drunken masters are able to enter a state, like picture Rock Lee when he took that sake, just a sip of sake, fighting Kimimaro in Naruto, to the point where Lee was able to contend with Kimimaro, and Kimimaro wasn't able to do anything to him, being incredibly unpredictable that he pretty much kept hitting. He pretty much had the advantage over Kimimaro until Kimimaro started to use his curse mark. That's essentially what Kaido is doing. He is stronger when he's drunk, and his haki is stronger as well. I knew there was something about it, but the fact that he is able to be basically stronger while he's intoxicated, it's no wonder he's drinking all the time. It's no wonder he's drinking all the time. That's when he's at his strongest. So whenever he's drinking, he's keeping his strength. He drinks to remain strong. Whoever thought that all you had to do is just drink alcohol to become insurmountably strong? Mad Dog, what's going on? We're going over to chapter 1037 of One Piece, but now we're learning about what Drunken Dragon Bagua actually is. And like I said, it's in this state his movements become... by consuming alcohol, Kaido is able to enter a state called Shuron Hake, also known as Drunken Dragon Bagua. In this state, his movements become more unpredictable. He switches rapidly between his Zoan forms, and his haki becomes stronger. The Shuron Hake state has various modes based on his drunken mood swings, and we'll go over these different modes as the chapter continues. So Luffy tries to hit him, and then Kaido goes Drunken Dragon Bagua. And then he says Lightning Hammered. Luffy is stronger when he just ested. Kaido is stronger when he's drunk. Oh, do you mean when Luffy's stronger when he's just eated? You mean eaten, right? Luffy's stronger when he's just eaten, and Kaido is stronger when he's drunk. Now, let me go right here. And let me pull up his Hasaikai, so I can pull up his different moves as well. So while Luffy tries to hit Kaido, he misses, and Kaido comes back with a move called Lightning Hammered Ragnarok. And what this is essentially a laughing drunk mode, where when using this mode against Luffy, Kaido attacked him with a version of his Ragnarok technique. In the Viz translation, this is called Lightning Hammered. Now, if I go over here, and I look at it, you're fine for Julian. Don't worry about it. He hits Luffy with basically a Lightning Hammered Ragnarok, which is essentially him doing his same old Ragnarok technique against Luffy, but it's a souped up version. So the haki that he imbues into his Kanabo is stronger than before because of this drunken state. And then the attack is so powerful that it causes a piece of the roof to fall down into the performance floor, and everyone notices it. It causes a massive crack in the roof, so big that everyone inside of the performance floor, inside of the Skull Dome, notices the massive crack happen. So, beforehand, we saw him use the regular Conqueror of the Three Worlds Ragnarok, and he hits Luffy with it, but no one pays too much attention to it on the underside because it's not really a significant hit enough for it to do any damage on the inside of the Skull Dome. But this one is so powerful, and it's actually a more souped up version of Ragnaroku, that it actually cracks the whole roof so much that everyone notices. And there are people saying, there's a huge crack in the roof. First the castle's on fire, now the dome might collapse. That's how much damage he did to Luffy. And Luffy is screaming out in pain. Now remember, Luffy is a gum-gum dude. Because of the nature of his gum-gum fruit, it allows him to survive blunt force trauma. But of course, hockey users, and especially supremely powerful hockey users such as Kaido, gives us an example of that, hey, their power can transcend his ability to be resistant to blunt force trauma. And this is harming Luffy so much to the point where he's just screaming out in pain. That's how hard Kaido hit him, because he basically cratered him. And at this moment, Kaido has shifted from his hybrid form directly into his full dragon form, saying, as fun as this might be, the castle and island are half destroyed already. They're useless to me now. So he basically does not care if he destroys Onigashima in the process of trying to beat Luffy. Both the castle and the island are half destroyed. They're both useless to him. So at this point, he kind of doesn't care. I'm so miserable, can't even keep one castle intact. And Luffy, just still reeling from pain from this attack, says, man, that hurt, he's so tough. And then it shows Kaido going into a sorrowful state. And this is called drowning his sorrows, also called Ochikome Jogo. A depressed drunk mode. When using this mode against Luffy, Kaido attacked him with Tatsumake Kaifu. In the Viz translation, this is called drowning his sorrows. In these different states, he's more powerful than before, but they all have different emotions and personalities. Like his laughing, he has a laughing drunk mode, a depressed drunk mode, a crying drunk mode, and then an angry drunk mode. So he's just massively depressed right now. I'll have to rebuild it, I guess, but it took 5 years to make it in the first place. Guess I was the one getting sloppy. And Luffy dashes towards him, and then Kaido says, I gave it everything I had, but I think it just wasn't meant to be. And then he tries to hit Luffy. He hits Luffy with Dragon Twister Demolition Gust, which we know to be when he is able to spin his body at high speeds, that it causes tornadoes, and also he can release invisible slashes onto his body that while he's spinning shoots it out in multi-directional directions. He does this attack towards Luffy, and it sends Luffy backwards a little bit with one slash, narrowly managing to miss him and slicing off a boulder in the background. Then Kaido goes into tears in his beer mode, where he says, stay away from me, and he's crying. Kaido is crying. He's going through his multiple mood swings, and he's in a crying state right now, saying, stay away from me, and just leave me alone, you idiot. And he's boo-hooing. Literally, it's written here, boo-hoo-hoo, and he's hiccuping because, he's also drunk, saying this is what happens to people who don't take a hit. And he says, Thunder, Bagua, and right when, before he even says Thunder, Bagua, Luffy hits him directly in the chin with a Conqueror's hockey-imbued kick to the face. And in this moment, Kaido grabs Luffy by the leg with his tail, kind of reminding us how Lucci grabbed Luffy with his tail back during Eni's lobby. He grabs Kaido, and he grabs onto Luffy, and they both try to headbutt each other. But since they're using Conqueror's Haki-imbued attacks, they're imbuing their attacks with Conqueror's Haki, they don't actually touch one another. They come this close, and the impact of their Conquerors is basically the blunt force that they hit instead of themselves. So there's a space between them because the Haki is so thick that they impact off of the space, not actually impacting off of the impact of their heads hitting each other, but just the space they can't even touch. And from this clash, a massive explosion of conquerors erupts from them, and they both get repelled back. But it's not actually the both of them that get repelled back. It's Luffy who gets repelled back, because Luffy notes that his haki is getting stronger. And then Kaido says, just when I'm finally good and drunk, you're going to sober me up. And then it shows Kaido in his drunken rage, which is called Drunken Rage, an angry drunk mode. When using this mode against Luffy, Kaido attacked him with his Bolo Breath and Kundali Ryu Seigun attack. Now, let me go to the Kundali here. He uses his Bolo Breath against Luffy, and Luffy barely manages to dodge, and Luffy comes at him with Gum Gum Rock Gatling. Not Rock Gun, but Rock Gatling. It's basically Rock Gun, but, you know, the Gatling version. And then Kaido uses a new move called Kundali Dragon Swarm. Now, Kundali Dragon Swarm is an attack used by Kaido in his half-dragon form, where he spins Hasaikai, that's the name of his Kanabo, to build up momentum. Indues it. Is it induce or imbues? I think it should be imbues. Indues it with Conqueror's Haki, and then delivers a series of high-speed swings with his weapon, barraging the enemy. The technique was first seen in use to counter Luffy's Gum Gum no Rock Gatling and Conqueror's Clash. The first part of the attack name comes from Kundali, one of the 5 wisdom kings in Buddhism. The Ryu Seigun part is a pun on the Japanese word for meteor shower, Ryu Seigun. In the Viz translation, the attack is called Kundali Dragon Swarm. So, they're both using some of their best moves against one another, and they're constantly clashing. And the chapter continues where they both land blows on one another. But the barrage continues. They hit each other, and then they just keep going. They hit each other, and then they just keep going. Over and over and over and over and over again. And then it shows Luffy using Gear 3rd to kick Kaido directly in his stomach. And then it shows the whites of Kaido's eyes. And it also shows Kaido spitting up blood as well. And then it cuts to Marijois. It just goes from Luffy kicking Kaido in the stomach and then it just cuts to Marijois. Since Luffy is immune to lightning attacks, what made Ragnarok such a powerful strike is a haki and Conqueror's haki in it. It makes me think how really strong is that attack to any other person. See, the thing is, Conqueror's haki lightning is not actual real lightning. It is just a representation of the advanced power of Conquerors. So it's not actually lightning. So when you see people imbue their weapon or their attacks with Conqueror's haki, that's not actual tangible lightning that can be used in the attack. That's just a representation that a person is using Conquerors in their attack. Like, you see this with Kaido when he uses Thunder Bagua. He's not actually imbuing his attack with lightning. It's just a visual representation of him imbuing his weapon with Conquerors. The same can be said of Roger and Whitebeard. So the Conqueror's lightning does not play into the actual attack power. It's just visually representing that, hey, Conqueror's being used here. In the fight, you can see both Luffy and Kaido being at the same level, but later you see Luffy making counterattacks and dodging Kaido's attacks more than Kaido does to Luffy. Exactly, like I said earlier, Luffy is an adaptable fighter. Like Goku, he adapts on the fly. And one of the things that Grandpa Hiyu brought up during the course of Wano, and one of the things he brought up during the course of Wano, and this was specifically in Udon, when Big Mom got her memories back, and Luffy was starting to learn the concept of Ryuo, Grandpa Hiyu said that a person's Ryuo grows stronger when they're backed into a corner. So, during the course of this fight, Luffy has been, let's just call it what it is. He's been near death many, many times, but he's been narrowly dodging it every single time. So in the heat of this battle, this is pretty much the perfect way for him to learn how to completely master Conquerors and, you know, the whole concept of Ryuo as a whole, due to how incredibly dangerous this fight is to him. Like I said, Grandpa Hugh said that in the heat of battle, when your back is against the wall, does a person's Ryuo improve? And this fight against Kaido is how Luffy is improving. Because Luffy has never come across an opponent as strong as Kaido. This is a person who has surpassed every single fight that Luffy has ever been in. Greater than Katakuri, greater than Doflamingo, greater than anyone he has ever fought. And this is the one that is pushing Luffy to his limits in order for him to truly become strong. So it's only obvious that when it comes to Luffy as an adaptable fighter, he's learning how to dodge these attacks that pretty much knocked him out flat during the beginning of this whole arc. Now he's learned how to dodge them. He's learned how to better use his, his future sight for observation hockey. And now, since he's grasped the concept of conquerors and conquerors imbued attacks, he's now using that every single time now. So it's only going to be a matter of time before Luffy actually surpasses Kaido in terms of strength. Not a lot of people like to hear that said about this fight between Luffy and Kaido, but it's the state where things are coming to. But Luffy kicks Kaido in the stomach, and then it just cuts straight to the Sacred Mariejois on the Red Line. And it shows the five elders talking about this year's reverie is simply accursed. It's what is unfolding in Wano that makes matters pressing now. Who could have imagined the battle would become this intense? So the Gorosei already know of the entire massive fight that's going on in Onigashima right now, thanks to CP0 being there. If we strike, it should be now. I presume we have Nico Robin in custody already. And they're already operating under the assumption that Rob Lucci already has Nico Robin, even though that's not the case, because Robin and Brook are somewhere on Onigashima. We haven't seen them ever since they dropped down on Fuga's hair when they were running away from CP0 earlier, so we don't know where they are right now. But they're operating on the assumption that Rob Lucci has succeeded in his mission of gaining Nico Robin. When Kaido and Big Mom are involved in a fight, death could easily come for anyone, which makes it the perfect cover to eliminate inconveniences. Now, when this one elder says makes it the perfect cover to eliminate inconveniences, they could mean anybody. They could mean who's who. They could mean Nico Robin. Of course, I doubt that they intend to kill Nico Robin because she has information that they would like to know, due to her being the only living survivor of Ohara. And if it's who's who, then they could just say like, oh, who's who was killed in the battle between Big Mom and Kaido, and CP0 had absolutely nothing to do with it because CP0 wasn't actually there. Mum's the word or whatever. But then as we cut to the sea near Wano, and as the warships that are making their way to Wano are closing in, they see a shadow in the sky saying, all ships remain on standby. What is it? There's a huge shadow up ahead. What is it? I don't know. An island? Then we cut to the five elders talking about this fruit that supposedly had its name changed to wipe its purpose and wipe what it truly was from the annals of history. With them saying, no, that's impossible. That fruit is only a legend now, even to us. It has not awakened for centuries upon centuries. Then why would the world government bother to give that one specific devil fruit another name? It's to erase that fruit's name from the annals of history, isn't it? Now, a lot of people are thinking that it's the gum gum fruit that had its name changed because of what it can actually do. A lot of people seem to think that the gum gum fruit is this fruit that they're talking about, but the name gum gum is not its true name. I don't know if I can stick by with this theory, but it has to be, whatever this fruit is, it has to be massively significant to the point where even the Gorosei was all like, wow, we weren't even privy to this. This fruit is a legend to us. This fruit is a legend now, even to us. Like, when the five elders is all like, that's a myth. And they know everything about the world? And they said, like, no, that's impossible. And they know everything there is to know about the world? Then that means that whatever this fruit is, whatever its true name is, it could possibly pose a threat to them. if they do not get their hands on it. That's just my theory. Then why would the world government bother to give that one specific devil fruit another name? It's to erase that fruit's name from the annals of history, isn't it? So one would surmise that the significance of this fruit could be just as significant as wiping the history of the Void Century from the annals of history as well. One would think. And as this is going on, the warships that are making their way towards Wano are confronted by Zunisha, the giant island elephant Zunisha. And it stands in the way between the Marines and Wano. Zunisha must be going to Wano before Momo or Luffy use the voice of all things. How could she get there that fast? Luffy just used that power 30 minutes ago. Maybe. But given the fact that he kind of did use the voice of all things when he was falling underwater and people were able to understand him, like everyone was able to understand him. That's the scary thing that we haven't gotten back to. When Luffy used the voice of all things, he was able to communicate with everyone, even people that were inside of Law's submarine underwater. Can we not? Are people forgetting that Luffy basically just used the voice of all things to telepathically speak to people? It can't be the Gum Gum fruit. How could they not know the origins of the fruit? That's the thing. Whatever this fruit is, if it's not the Gum Gum fruit, it's a fruit that even the Gorosei barely know anything about. And they know everything. So whatever this fruit is, it is so powerful or so dangerous. It is so powerful or it's so dangerous that even the world government wants to wipe it from the annals of history, that even the Gorosei don't know too much about it. It almost makes me think the treasure One Piece may not be the true name of that treasure. Who can say what it is? There's so many theories that you can base off of this small conversation. There's so much you could base off of this conversation between the Gorosei right now. And the funny thing is, we won't see the Gorosei for like, what, 10, 15, 20 chapters? We won't see them again for like at least half a year because that's how significant they are. They just drop in for like a couple of months and then we don't see them for several months with us wondering, why did y'all drop that knowledge and not explain? So we're probably not gonna see the Gorosei for a very long time because one of my viewers told me, I believe it might have been Ogata-san or someone else yesterday, told me that we've only seen the Gorosei a total of 9 times in the series. Of the 1,000 chapters that we've had, we've only seen the Gorosei 9 times, and every single moment has been significant. But it ends the chapter 1038, with Zunisha's standing between the warships and the Navy. So now we come to the final chapter that we got in January, titled Kid-in-Law versus Big Mom. Now, this was a pretty good chapter, nothing majorly too major. I kind of like this chapter because of what Law did, and it basically showed another aspect of his awakened abilities. But beginning here, we go into the 3rd floor, where Raizo and Fukurokuju are still in the midst of this inferno right now. Now, mind you, Raizo is completely on fire. Like, whole body is just up in flames. But he's still not releasing the paralysis jutsu. Fukurokuju, however, he is just now starting to get caught on fire. And he's all like, the flames, undo the jutsu, Raizo, or we both will die, or we will both die. Toki's fruit would be a better choice. Gorosei didn't know about it. Who knows? For all that we know, Toki's devil fruit could be the fruit they're talking about. Because due to the nature of the fruit, it could... Hold on. I want to make sure that I didn't drop frames. It said I started dropping frames. I wanted to make sure that I was still good. We're still good, so I can continue. For all we know, it could be Toki's fruit, because when Toki used her fruit, she traveled from 100 years in the past. Hundreds of years. And since she would travel to different time periods, that would make it so that the fruit is not seen in the history books for decades or even centuries at a time. And since Toki has passed, the Toki Toki no Mi is now back in circulation. So that could in fact be the fruit that they have. But let me bring up chat again. It could be the Toki Toki no Mi. Think about it, with Lady Toki traveling through time, that fruit basically disappeared from history. Exactly what I was saying. You and I were saying both the same exact thing. I didn't even see what you said in chat until just now. But it's exactly what that is. A time-traveling devil fruit in a person's hands, and they go hundreds of years into the future. For the people who are still behind, and people who are trying to keep track of the fruit, they don't see it. History does not see it for hundreds of years at all, to the point where it basically would become a legend. So it actually does make sense if it's the Toki Toki no Mi. But concluding with this chapter, going through, Raizo and Fukudo Kuju are both set on fire, and Raizo is refusing to let go of the paralysis jutsu that Fukudo Kuju and himself are under. Then we get to the second floor, as basically everyone is just trying to get out of Onigashima, because the whole place is just going up in flames, thanks to Kanjuro's Kanzenbo. And as it shows some samurai running, it shows the roof about to fall down on top of them, but Jinbei catches it in time, wondering like, well, you're still in here? Get out while you still can. And Jinbei's just thinking, how have the flames spread so far? It's one thing to die in battle, but these flames are going to kill scores of men all on their own. And it shows numerous dead beast pirates and numerous dead samurai as well. Then we get to the performance floor, where it shows Big Mom still fighting Kid and Law. And it's in this chapter where Chopper regains his normal size. The drawbacks of him overtaxing his monster point has officially worn off. And then, as soon as Chopper gets back to his normal size, he goes to Miyagi. He says, Miyagi, I'm worried about Zoro. And Miyagi says, ah, yes, the medicine we gave him. In exchange for a temporary burst of extreme healing, he'll have to suffer twice the damage later, right? I hope he was able to win his fight. I mean, he was so injured he couldn't move, and now it's doubled? He's not going to die, is he? And then it shows Zoro, who's still on the area where he launched himself after defeating King, but he's unable to move. The effects of the medicine are starting to wear off, and he can no longer move at all. And during this time, it appears that he sees a visage of the Grim Reaper standing in front of him, preparing to take his soul. Now, a lot of people, including myself, we honestly think that this is just a massive hallucination that Zoro is having, and it's actually Brook in front of him. That's what a lot of us think. A lot of us think that this is just Brook standing in front of Zoro, but he's just so delirious from his body slowly starting to feel the effects of his fight and feel the effects of the medicine wearing off, that he's just seeing Brook as the Grim Reaper come to take his soul. That's what a lot of us think, because, I mean, I highly doubt that this is Zoro's death moment. It's not. So my money 100% is on this being Brook. So Brook and Robin probably found Zoro outside, and Zoro's just having a massive, yo, the Grim Reaper has a Jamaican accent. Zoro, what you doing out there, man? Like Grim from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I remember when Cohagen sent me that Discord picture with Grim's face in place of this Grim Reaper's face. But Zoro's all like, what's going on? My body won't move. No, stop, don't do it. Then it shows the Right Brain Tower, where Frankie is just running through the tower trying to find where Zoro is. Then we cut to the crawl space on the first floor, where it shows a lot of dead beast pirates from where Izo was. And then it shows Izo heading into the first basement floor, and he's been bloodied, and he's actually been injured, with him saying, I was too sloppy against a large group. Remember, Izo, these are still the Animal Kingdom pirates. Kinemon, Kiku, I hope you've managed to escape. And as he He senses someone, and he immediately aims his gun in one direction, and it turns out to be the two CP0 members that defeated both NB and, well, not NB, but Zanki and Drake. And they're both just standing there, looking at him. And then Izo says, Cypherpole. And then the guy says, that's right, we're Aegis Zero. I knew you were here, but we never saw each other today, Izo. Given my job, I shouldn't be allowing the remnants of Whitebeard's crew to run free after their historic crimes. But we're only here to deal with the Straw Hat Pirates. Until we meet again another day. So, the fact that they're only focusing on the Straw Hats right now, of all the pirates, all the different types of pirates that are here right now, Law's crew, and Kid's crew, and then Kaido's crew, and Big Mom is there as well, of all the people that they would consider trying to take down right now, or trying to deal with, the Straw Hats are the only ones that concern them. And they just casually walk past Izo. And Izo says, no, CP0, don't go yet. We don't get what the conversation is because, you know, in true Oda fashion, a conversation can be started and then it'll go to a completely different matter all entirely. Then it cuts to the armory in the basement floor. I think Zoro is having an even bigger near-death experience than when nothing happened. You know, the moment when Zoro took in all the pain of Luffy over the course of Thriller Bark that Bartholomew Kuma gave to him. So it's probably going to be an even bigger moment than that. So real quick, let me pull up Yamato because she uses a brand new attack here that I want to categorize and get the information on. Abilities, physical abilities, hockey, armament, weapons. Oh, we get the name of her Kanabo as well. So Kaido's Kanabo is called Hasaikai, and Yamato's Kanabo is called Takeru. Interesting. All right, and then we go down to abilities. And there we go. All right, so Yamato is in the armory in the basement floor, and she's saying, please be in time, and she's absolutely booking it down these stairs. She's leaving like a massive speed dust cloud behind her as she's trying to beat Kanjiro's Kazenbo down to the bottom. And she sees it in time, and it is right on the precipice of lighting. On scans, Izo said, stop, not another step, CP0. That scans, though. I'm going... It's nice that scans say that, but I'm only going by what the official translation goes by. If it ain't in these volumes when it releases in the paperback, I don't consider them official. But the Kazenbo is on the precipice of setting fire to these big, massive bombs that are down there. And Yamato goes into her hybrid form, and she uses Namuji Glacier Fang to freeze the bombs before the Kazenbo can actually get down on them. And she says, if this much gunpowder explodes at once, we're all done for. Don't touch those explosives. And then she uses a move called Mahoroba, and she hits the Kazenbo directly into the face. Now, what the Mahoroba is an attack where Yamato remains in her human form, but imbues her Kanabo with frost. I called it. I knew that's what it was when I did my reaction to this. But imbues her Kanabo with frost before swinging it horizontally. It was first used against the Kazenbo. Sometimes you like the scan translations more, to each their own. The name of the attack is a reference to the ancient concept of Mahoroba, which describes a land of peace and harmony within Yamato, Japan. So this is an attack that allows her to basically imbue her Kanabo with ice. Because we know that with the nature of her Devil Fruit ability, she basically can turn into a deity wolf that can use ice types of attacks, like ice mirrors that's akin to like the armor of sand that Gaara has, or can fire beams of ice out of her mouth. Now we see that she can imbue her Kanabo with straight ice and use it to fight this drawing cloaked in flame, which pretty much makes her the best person to fight it right now, when you think about it. A giant drawing that can go through walls and set things on fire, being fought by a woman that can use the power of ice. I feel like that is a perfect matchup between her and it. So going forward, she uses Maharoba to freeze her Kanabo and hit the Kazembo with it. And then the Kazembo starts to grow an arm and shoots fire in the direction of Yamato. Then it cuts to the performance floor where it shows Big Mom just wailing on Kid and Law, with the crews of both saying, "Stop it, Big Mom, our captains can't move anymore. If you keep going, they're going to die. Cut them a break." And it shows Kid being tossed around and Law being thrown around. And Big Mom is all like, "Listen to your men pitying you. Must make you feel pretty pathetic, boys." As it shows Kid and Law both prone on the ground and unmoving. Like it shows Kid to be slightly unconscious and Law's not moving at all. And as the crews of both Law and Kid try to come in and try to get close to their captain, Big Mom hits them with God of Lightning Tenjin from Hera, and it pretty much electrifies both sides to keep them from aiding their captains. With her saying, "Silence, you runts, this is a battlefield." Then as this is going on, she just starts to float away on Hera, saying, "I've yet to hear a roar of victory from Kaido up above. You better not still be up there playing patty cake with that Straw Hat boy, Kaido. Hera, take me up to the roof. Even I'm getting tired now. It's time to put an end to this." Now, before Big Mom can get far away enough, Law gets up and then uses the awakened power of his Ope Ope no Mi and puts Kroom anesthesia over his sword. And Big Mom says, "We're done here." But before that happens, Law has anesthesia and Kroom extend the length of his sword. See, beforehand, we saw this attack being able to just cut through people, but not actually harm them, allowing Law to channel his power through his sword into a person's body to harm an individual internally. But here, we see that not only can he just pierce it into people without harming them so he can harm them on the inside, but he can also use it to extend the length of his sword to a much longer and slightly larger size, because at the end of Law's sword, it actually grows slightly more broad at the top. Like it's narrowed down at the bottom, and then it starts to get longer and longer, but then it starts to get bigger at the end. And it pierces both through Big Mom's arm and her face. And everyone is just completely shocked to see Big Mom get skewered like this. And Chopper sees this as well, saying, "Traffy, what's with that huge sword?" And then Law explains, "I know the last one had an effect. The penetration doesn't hurt, the real pain is from." And Big Mom, remembering how much pain she went through, says, "No, not that." And then Law uses Shock Will to basically electrify and shock the inside of Big Mom's body. And I'm still wondering if these peculiar black streaks that are shooting out of Big Mom's body, if that is in fact blood shooting out of her body in different spots on top of blood shooting out of her mouth. Because it's not lightning. So I honestly think that with what Law just did to Big Mom right now, he actually hit her with enough force where it actually pierced through her body and caused her body to kind of moderately rupture, in a way. Hold on, let me do this real quick. Yeah, there we go. Bring up the brightness because it was starting to get a little bit dark. You're a little disappointed that they're not even going to attempt to step in and save their captains. I know it's against Big Mom, but come on, especially since we wanted to see much more from these guys. It's not a matter of them not trying to save their captains. They've tried. They've actually tried. But Big Mom just basically downed all of them. But it's not even a matter of them trying to show what, it's not even a matter of us trying to see what the rest of his crew can do. They all just know that they really don't stand a chance against Big Mom. And who knows, maybe their fear of her is what's keeping them from going, because she could just rip the life force out of them if she sees that Soul Pocus could be used against them. So it's not a matter of them not wanting to attempt to step in and save their captains, is that they know they will die absolutely if they even attempt to. is that they have unlike Kid and Law, his crewmates have a 100% chance of dying if they were to step into this fight. And seeing as how Big Mom used God of Lightning Tenjin to basically electrocute and down every single one of their members completely, I don't think we're going to be hearing from them for a hot minute. Because now it's just left up to Kid and Law now. But I honestly wonder. Actually, you know what? Let me come over here. Let me bring up the Ope Ope no Mi. Then let me go back down to Shockwell so I can remind you guys just what this technique can actually do. So, with Kroom, Law creates a spherical space above his hand that is very similar to Room, but unlike it, this piece of space seemingly never expands by itself. Instead, Law is capable of coating objects with this spatial bubble, granting them similar properties to that of a regular room and letting Law perform operations through them alone. Law first used this move in his confrontation with Big Mom, considering it a last resort due to the high amount of energy this technique consumes to perform. And then with Anesthesia, Law coats his Kikoku with the essence of Kroom. And here, it's not just spelled Kroom with like Krom. It's a K, then like a period floating in the middle, and then room. So it's spoken Kroom, but it's not spelled as one word. There's like, I don't know what they call that bullet point. It's a bullet point between K and room. Big Meme survived Luffy's, Brooks, and many other people's attacks. Wish Kid would have at least used Haki if not advanced Conquerors with this bold mechanic. Who's to say Kid even knows it? Just because you have Conquerors doesn't mean you actually know how to use Conquerors to imbue your attacks. I mean, both Kaido and Big Mom says that very few people know how to use it. And you don't automatically gain the knowledge of being able to use Conquerors with your attacks. But Anesthesia, Law coats his Kikoku with the essence of Kroom, allowing it to pierce through anything without harming the target, akin to spatial phasing. In addition, Law can enlarge his K-Room coated blade for an increase of range, much like he does with a regular room. And this was updated because of the recent chapter. Then we have Shock Will, literally meaning shock will, without the E on the end. After piercing through a target with Kikoku, Law releases an electrical shockwave through it that fries the target from the inside. Its effects are very similar to Gamma Knife, but because the electric shock directly occurs from the inside instead of coming from the outside, it ignores whatever external defenses the target may have. It was first used against Big Mom, bypassing her normally monstrous external body defenses and making her bleed from the mouth. The literal, and then it just has like the description. I know, but at least Haki. Yeah, I'm sure Haki would be useful, but granted, most people can't use Haki if they're tired. If you're incredibly tired, then it does affect how well you use Haki. I mean, think about it. Whitebeard knew how to use all 3 applications of Haki, but he barely used observation Haki during the events of Marineford. Not because he forgot how to use it, but because he's gotten older and pretty much forgot how to. He pretty much couldn't use it as effectively anymore. Not only was he old, but he was like what, 70, 72, I believe, during that whole fight. Age has an effect on how well you use Haki, and so does the state of your body. Now, granted, Whitebeard was already pretty powerful during Marineford, but had he had been in a state where he where his body wasn't capable of him not using observation Haki as well, I'm trying to find the right words to say it here. Had his body not been in such an old, decrepit state where him using observation Haki wouldn't have been too much for him, he wouldn't have been stabbed by Squad during the events of Marineford. So the state of your body also plays into how well you use Haki. Not saying that old age just immediately makes you incapable of using Haki. I'm just saying that the state of your body does affect it. So it stands to reason that given the fact that that Kid didn't even bother using any awakened techniques, and he just resorted to using his regular Devil Fruit abilities and regularly, and he didn't use any Haki whatsoever, then it stands to reason that maybe he was just kind of kind of tired. So K-Room is sort of like his gamma knife or radio knife, but stronger. No, Shock Will is. Shock Will is just like his gamma knife, but stronger. Kroom is what allows him to use Shock Will. Ah, don't worry about CJ. You're fine. You're fine. Kroom is what allows him to use Shock Will, which is stronger than Gamma Knife. Kroom isn't the actual attack, it's the application for the attack. So while this is going on, Law hits Big Mom with Shock Will, and she gets sent flying to the ground. And all the homies, all the Steel Girder homies that were with Big Mom, try to go after Law, but they all get pulled by Kid saying, with him saying, "Would you I-beam, stop yapping, and obey my magnetism?" And then Big Mom is kind of surprised to see that Kid is still standing, saying, "You're still standing, Kid?" And as this is going on, let me actually pull up the Jiki Jiki no Mi so we can get a description of Kid's mechanical bull that he created. Because this is not actually an awakened technique. He just builds a mechanical bull. This isn't an awakened technique of Kid's. This mechanical bull that he makes. But Big Mom says, "I guess you brats really want to take my head, don't you?" And Kid says, "For some reason I feel like I'm driven by a different goal now." So beforehand, his goal was just to take down Big Mom. But apparently his separate goal is now different, with him saying, "I'm guessing Kaido's nearly done up there too. Even water droplets can carve stone in given enough time. There ain't a single thing in this world that's totally impervious to damage." Now, actually, this is Kid who was saying this. I didn't notice, but it was like a little spike over here off to the side. But it's Kid saying, "I'm guessing Kaido's nearly done up there too. Even water droplets can carve stone given enough time." And Kid also says, "There ain't a single thing in this world that's totally impervious to damage." Just pretty much telling us, like, yeah, the invincible Kaido, he's not so invincible anymore. And neither is nigh invincible Big Mom as well. And then he hits Big Mom with this new attack, which isn't awakened, by the way, called... It started to drop frames, so let me go ahead and wrap this up. He hits Big Mom with a unawakened technique called Punk Cornadillo. Now, if I come down here, Punk Cornadillo, literally meaning big magnetic demon bull, Kid attracts a large quantity of metal pieces from his surroundings and shapes it in the form of a gigantic metallic bull-like contraption that is even larger than a powered-up giant-sized Big Mom. Then, while riding on its back, Kid makes the bull charge towards his enemy so he can headbutt them down. It was first used against Big Mom. And when he uses Punk Cornadillo, it pretty much embeds Big Mom into a nearby wall. Now, mind you, in this panel, it's kind of small to see just how hard they hit Big Mom. He hit Big Mom. I don't know why Kenzo's barking right now. He's fine. It's kind of difficult to see just how much damage this Cornadillo did to Big Mom. But given the fact that this description makes this bull even bigger than Big Mom after she powered herself up, it pretty much implants her in the wall, with people saying, "What a huge bull, it's even bigger than Big Mom's giant form." And then Kid says, "Listen to me, old hag. I'd rather die than let you go to the roof." And this is both Law and Kid saying this. Give me a sec. Alright, I'm back. So it ends the chapter with Kid and Law saying, "I'd rather die than let you go to the roof." Now, when I was doing this reaction, I was kind of wondering, does Kid I was wondering, when it came to Kid saying, I'd rather die than let you go to the roof, either one or two things are happening here. Either Kid sees that, hey, let's not interrupt the fight between Luffy and Kaido, or it's a matter of, if Big Mom goes up there with Kaido, then Luffy is gonna have a harder time fighting Kaido, and then all the efforts that we've invested in, all this effort that we've invested in, is gonna be wasted. Either one of those two things. Kenzo really wants to get out just because he hears people walking around upstairs, but he'll be alright. He'll get over it. He can't have everything his way. He's a good boy, but he's also kind of spoiled by the other members of the family. But this is pretty much the end of all the chapters we got in January. And now I'm just wondering, where are things going to go from here? Because we still have loose ends to tie up. We still have to find out whether or not that's Hiyori with Orochi right now. We still have to find out the conclusion of Raizo versus Fukudo Kuju, which I feel is not going to go on for much longer due to the fact that both of them are starting to be set on fire, with Raizo already being completely engulfed in fire, but neither one of them relenting to let go of their paralysis jutsu. Then we have the matter of Yamato combating the Kazenbo down below in the armory in order to keep it from blowing up Onigashima from within. Then we have Big Mom versus Kid and Law, with both Kid and Law actually keeping up with Big Mom. Let's just call it what it is. Despite Big Mom powering up into her big giant form now, Law and Kid are still actually harming her. When it's really Law who's doing a significant amount of the damage, because Big Mom on the outside, she's incredibly strong and tough to actually harm. But Law has shown that, hey, you can be as tough as you want on the outside, but your insides are still soft. And with Law's ability to basically just bend space with his awakened abilities, he is able to do what no one else is really able to do and harm Big Mom from the inside. So much, and Big Mom doesn't like this type of attack because she's all like, no, don't do that. Like, seriously, that hurts. Don't do that. So even Big Mom's tough exterior is not enough to keep her from being harmed from the inside. Like, you can toughen up your body as much as you want in the world of One Piece, but your insides will always be the same. You could make it so that you can lift up the world, but your insides will always still be the same. So these recent chapters have been showing us that even though Kaido and Big Mom have been lauded as these supremely powerful pirates, they are not without their weaknesses. They are not completely invincible. I mean, Oden showed that to us when we learned how he gave Kaido his only scar. And then we learned about it again when Luffy started to learn how to use conquerors within his attacks and actually started to deal damage against Kaido, causing him to, cough up and spew blood pretty much a vast majority of the time that they've been fighting this whole time. And then we've seen that Big Mom herself is not invincible due to the fact that Law has shown that she may be tough on the outside, but not on the inside, and it even uses his own ability to pierce into her and shock her from within, which is something that she probably never thought would ever be possible for her. So that's why it came as quite a shock to her when it happened. And for it to happen a second time, we know that it's something that works. So Kid and Law are pretty much good for each other, because with Kid being able to manipulate metal, which is really, like Julian said, really, really broken when you think about it, he is able to manipulate any and all metal that he can see. He could take all the metal from every single person in Onigashima right now and use it for himself. And the fact that he pretty much just took the metal that was made to use up all the beams that he used to pin to Big Mom, which she then turned into homies, then he took that back, and then he turned into his own mechanical bull. Now, mind you, it does not show that the homies stopped being homies. these structural metal beams that were trying to go and kill Law because of the damage he did to Big Mom, it does not show that they stopped being homies, which means that despite them being homies, Kid's power of magnetism is so strong that they cannot resist him, despite being imbued with souls and they're autonomous. So for all we know right now, this big gigantic mechanical bull that Kid has created still has these homies who, against their own will, are being forced to attack Big Mom. Because it doesn't show the souls leaving their body when they get turned into this big mechanical bull. They're all like, oh, we're getting pulled backwards, and they're screaming, but they're forced to become this mechanical bull against their will, just showing us that Kid, Big Mom's soul ability may be strong, but when it comes to metal, Kid's ability is stronger. So she can't control them anymore, because Kid now has control, and with that control, just basically headbutts her. But when you think about it, Kid's ability is very, very OP. The ability to manipulate, repel, and attract metal of all kinds, and do whatever you want with it. And this Punk Cornadillo is not even an awakened technique, because the only one we've seen is this ability called a sign, where he makes an object be incredibly magnetic, and it draws other things to it. That's all we've seen. I feel like we need to see a little bit more from Kid as far as his awakened abilities are concerned, because we got a good extensive idea of how Law's, Kroom, and Anesthesia, and then Shockwill works, but all we got was just a regular assign from Kid. I feel like there's more applications he can use to that, but we just haven't seen it yet. And seeing as how, despite Big Mom creating, pulling a full Rita Repulsa and saying, make my monster grow! Despite all of that, he is able to, constantly ram into Big Mom without Big Mom being able to stand up against it. A souped up, giant, powered up version of Big Mom, and Kid just rams her into the wall like she ain't nothing. Remember, this bull is bigger than Big Mom. Big Mom is getting internal and external damage. Exactly. She's being fought by two people that can harm her on both fronts, inside and out. And I feel like, due to the nature of what Big Mom is, and how she fights, and how powerful she actually is, this is the perfect matchup. These two, Kid and Law, are two doctors. Kid is operating on the outside of Big Mom, while Law is operating on the inside. This is a delicate procedure going on right now, and this surgery, I feel like, is not going to be over until both Law and Kid succeed. This is a major Big Mom operation going on right now. And Law and Kid are the doctors. I never put two and two together, but that's basically what it is. But for the chapters we got in January, despite the couple of breaks, I believe we got a couple of breaks, maybe about one or two. Despite the breaks in this month, I actually really enjoyed these chapters. We are getting closer and closer to this coming to a head, though. Now, when I say closer and closer, I could mean like a month or two, or maybe even 3. Who knows? Depending on how Oda spins this tale for this arc. But there's not much to cover. There's not much to bring to a conclusion. Like, Chopper's back to his regular size. Zoro's being confronted by the Grim Reaper, which I really feel is Brook. Raizo and Fukuro Kuju's fight is still going on. Apu's just out there running by himself. Drake got beaten by one of the CP0 members. The 2 CP0 members are apparently having a conversation with Izo. Hiyori is having a conversation and spending time with Orochi right now. Yamato is combating the Kazenbo right now. Luffy is fighting Kaido right now. Law and Kid are fighting Big Mom right now. We don't know where the rest of the Straw Hats are, save for Jinbei and Frankie, who are running, with one holding up the roof to save some samurai while everyone's trying to escape. And Frankie is running through the castle trying to find Zoro. We don't know where Kiku and Kinemon are because they're no longer in the crawl space where they were laying down, where Kaido came and pretty much stabbed into Kinemon and then I guess stabbed, and then Kanjiro stabbed into Kiku. We don't know where they are. We don't know where the rest of the Straw Hats are. We do know that Sanji is unconscious right now because of his fight with Queen. He's currently unconscious, and apparently he's being cared for. I wouldn't be surprised if he's being cared for by the courtesans that were there in the area where he was fighting Queen. So I'm pretty sure they're taking care of him. We don't know where Robin and Brook are. I feel like Brook may be the visage that Zoro sees, so Robin may be with him. We don't know where Nami is. We don't know where Usopp is. Good thing she doesn't have any healing abilities. The Grim Reaper is broke. I refuse to have a debate in the fandom about if the Grim Reaper exists or not in One Piece. I mean, people will argue that. People will argue that all day, but I feel like the concept of the Grim Reaper showing up 1,000 chapters later on, bit late for that, wouldn't you say? So I feel like it's Brook as well. And Hiyori is about to shank Orochi. Wouldn't that be something if Hiyori just slits Orochi's throat and kills him right then and there? And then the vengeance of the Kozuki clan is avenged and is fully brought about? That would be a much more satisfying vengeance plot than Arya trying to go after Cersei in Game of Thrones. Far more fulfilling and far more satisfying to watch, I know that much. But it would be great if Hiyori just absolutely killed Orochi right there, because he's so enamored with Hiyori that he's letting his guard down. He is full on letting his guard down. In fact, Hiyori, when she was Komurasaki, she was the only person that Orochi would let his guard down around completely. So I feel like there's no better person to end Orochi's life than Hiyori right now, if that truly is Hiyori. If that truly is. But we'll have to see. But the loose ends are becoming smaller and smaller. Sure, some grow here and there. Well, there is an underworld. Brook is living proof of that. I mean, he calls his attacks from the underworld, but then again, he's able to... well, you never... let's just be honest here. We don't know all that there is to know about the world of One Piece. There could be concepts that we don't even know about. So the Grim Reaper could actually exist. But I still feel that it's Brook, though. But going through all these chapters through this month, a lot of things are being resolved. A lot of things are being made known. There's still things to tie over, such as Momonosuke still trying his best to pull Onigashima away from the Flower Capital. There's still things to tie up here. There's still the matter of the girl speaking about this fruit that was, lost to the ages of history and even erased from the annals of history. There's still that to go to, but I feel like we're not going to touch on that for a very long time. There's still things to go through for this arc, but they're steadily and slowly becoming less and less stuffy. This arc is becoming less and less filled with stuff to resolve and more about, okay, let's see this done, let's see this done, and then let's see this done. I honestly feel like with the direction that these chapters are going in right now, we're actually seeing good resolutions versus us just padding out a chapter waiting for something to happen. Now, mind you, the whole Raizo versus Fuguro Kuju matter is the fact that this thing has been going on for like several chapters. Like, since, what, chapter 1030 something? It's been going on for a hot minute. And I'm not saying that as a pun due to the fact that they're both on fire right now. But it's been going on for a long, hot minute. I feel like that's the only fight that's really being padded out right now. If I want to be honest, of all the fights that I feel like is taking far longer than it needs to, Raizo and Fukuro Kuju just standing there, doing nothing, but letting themselves burn. While everyone else is just having these big old knockdown, drag out fights, Raizo and Fukuro Kuju are just in the back like this. And they're just standing there. That might be the most padded fight that we see thus far in these recent chapters. They're just standing there in one spot, not moving. And I feel like the paralysis jutsu is pretty much has its own part of that due to the fact that they're not moving, but that's the only way they can resolve That's the only way that they can resolve their fight is just by trying to let each other die and let themselves be burnt up. Raizo's currently all on fire, and Fukurokuju's just now becoming on fire. But of all the fights, this one seems like the most padded out because not much is happening. Like, Fukurokuju's all like, end this now or we're both gonna die. And Raizo's not saying anything, he's just holding on. So, for all we know, their fight could literally just end with them just burning up, dying, just standing there holding each other with a paralysis jutsu. And that's the only fight that I feel is being padded out right now. Yeah. But, despite all that, despite the padded fight of Raizo versus Fukurokuju, and despite all the things that are happening in these recent chapters for January, I still feel like it's still moving at a good pace. I just hope that we resolve this Raizo versus Fukurokuju thing soon, so we can get back to the major fights, because there's only 3 fights going on right now. Only 3 fights. Raizo versus Fukurokuju, Big Mom versus Law and Kid, and Luffy versus Kaido. That's it. That's the only major fights that's going on right now. 2 of them are major. The other one is minor. But those are the only fights that are truly going on right now. I don't count the samurai battling the beast pirates because they're just fodder. But those are the 3 fights that are just going on right now. But we're just going to have to see what February has to offer. Whew! So what did I think of these chapters as a whole? I thought they were pretty good. Aside from Raizo and Fukurokuju still taking way too long, I thought these were good fights. We saw another side of Kaido, his many mood swings, and the fact that he gets stronger and his haki gets stronger when he's drunk. That's a new thing. We saw a new attack from Yamato. We find out that she can imbue her attacks with ice. So she's basically an ice wolf god. Then we have Law versus Big Mom, and his shock will still proves to be increasingly effective against Big Mom. And Kid just being able to go toe-to-toe with Big Mom's giant powered-up form shows us that this new generation is nothing to sneeze at. So I enjoyed this month full of One Piece, and I'm very hopeful for February. February, however, we haven't seen Ashita Doji for a hot minute as well. I believe he's still smoldering, so that might be how that's going. Because for all we know, Denjiro... Oh, right, we haven't seen Denjiro for a hot minute either. There's still a lot of people to take account for. Because the last time I checked, Izo was with Marco. Because he was helping Marco leave. But Izo went back and saved Usopp from the Beast Pirates, while Usopp was protecting Kiku and Kinemon. So where's Marco? Last we saw, Marco was with Izo, but Izo wasn't there with him when he went to go save Usopp. So where's Marco? Luffy versus Kaido, Big Mom versus Kid and Law, Raizo versus Fukurokuju, Yamato trying to save Onigashima, Orochi with Komurasaki, so many things. It really is a lot of things to clear up, and even then, new things are going to get introduced. But I feel like things are going to get, even though things, since the beginning of Wano, things have been crazy, okay? Things have been massively crazy since Wano has started. But when Wano ends, when the dust has settled, when the world learns what has happened at Wano and Onigashima and everything that has transpired, that's when things are going to kick off. Oda may say that Onigashima's war is going to make Marineford look like a child's playground in comparison, and it pretty much has. It pretty much has surpassed Marineford in the amount of crazy, monstrous things that have happened in it. But it's when Wano ends, and when everything has settled down, is when the events of the world of One Piece are really going to take a major turn. For better or worse, we don't know. But things are going to pop off like we've never imagined when Wano ends. And then we go back into the world again, not just be on one specific continent of the world, but go sailing across the world again, and we see things that are happening with the Straw Hats, and things that's happening with Blackbeard, and things that's happening with the Warlords, and things that's happening with the world government, and things that are happening with the Marines, and then the eventual reveal of Ryukyu, and so many things happening in the world, that's when things are gonna pop off. And that is what I'm looking forward to. Not saying that I'm hoping that Wano ends too soon, but when Wano ends, that's when the craziness will officially start. And I'm all here for it. But, and Zunisha arriving in Wano. Yes, there's just so many things happening right now. Can't wait for Luffy to get to Wano under his protection after he kicks Kaido's behind. We're just gonna have to wait and see for next week's chapter to see which direction the narrative goes in. Ladies and gentlemen, whew, I have to say, this has been an eventful reflection stream. I will say that I enjoyed it immensely. But that's all I have for you guys. My theories, my review of all these 3 of these chapters, and my thoughts on these chapters as a whole. February starts tomorrow, which means a whole new series of February One Piece chapters, and I'm all the more hyped to view them all. All I can say is, I can't wait to see where One Piece goes. Where are the Big Mom Pirates if the world government is surrounding Wano? I wouldn't be surprised if they're still trying to go up the waterfall, trying to get up there, but Marco said that by the time you get up here, things are going to have changed. So the Big Mom Pirates may show up, but the battle may well be over by the time they get up there. And they'll be all like, oh, we wanted to take part in the fight too. And hopefully Bart and the Grand Fleet show up. I highly doubt they're going to show up in Wano. It's far too soon. There's no need for them to. For them to bring a whole fleet just for Big Mom and Kaido, I don't think it's necessary. And I don't think it's necessary for them to have the fleet there to go up against the Marine warships if Zunisha is there. Because we've seen that Zunisha don't need no help taking out some warships. But we're just going to have to see what February has to offer to us in terms of chapters. All I can say to all of you is, for all of you who lasted this hour and 42 minutes, good lord, I went on for a lot longer than I originally anticipated. But I'm glad I got everything that was in my head out. So, all I can say is, I really do hope you enjoyed, every single one of you that managed to, stick around for this whole thing. I greatly do appreciate it. All I can say to you guys is, you make this channel great. And when I do what I do every single week, if not every single day, it is really encouraging when you guys come here and we sit and talk about One Piece or other things, not just specifically One Piece, but other things as well. And you guys just come here and y'all chill and y'all have a good time. That's all I really want you guys to have, is just a great time whenever you have here. And the fact that you guys do, or you guys haven't told me that you're not having a great time, so I just go off the assumption that you are if you haven't told me that. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be an entertainer for you. That's all I got. So with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing or even consider becoming a member. I'm still working on the perks a little bit to make it, much more worthwhile for all of you guys. Consider subscribing or even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. I know I say this all the time, but I never get tired of this.